right. All right, welcome back to Conscious Evolution, guys. I joined here with Africa and Nikki, a subscriber of mine that had a profound experience, and I just wanted to talk to her about it, and she's very excited. So I wanted to do this and hear the story. So let's do that. So I'm with Africa also. So let's say hi, everybody. Africa, go ahead.
Good morning. How is everybody? Thank you so much for having me on the show again, and I can't wait to hear her story, because this is a result of what we were doing as far as our experiment, and this is somebody who apparently we touched, and we want to hear it from her.
Awesome. All right, well, let's meet Nikki. So how this works is when you talk, you get the screen. So you're going to have the full screen. So whoever's talking, that's where the camera is going to go to.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Don't be nervous. It's all right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. I suffer from chronic pain, and I have a lot of permanent back injuries from some car accidents, and they even say that sometimes like things that happen to you as a kid can impact you later on. That's really true, because I'd suffered like a lot of abuse as a kid. But I ended up with severe fibromyalgia and just chronic pain. There were days that I couldn't even use my legs. So the pain was just so bad. Sciatica, everything. So, and right before the session with you guys, the pain was getting to be unbearable. And on top of that, I was on a lot of pain meds, but I had been recently weaning down after a miscarriage, and which they said that it didn't have anything to do with pain meds, because I didn't realize I was pregnant at the time. But either way, the pain was getting worse, and it was to the point where the depression was just horrible. So after the session though, and it's been 2 days now, and you have no idea how amazing it feels to be able to wake up and just be able to move and think. And, I'm not tired anymore, exhausted from being in pain. I'm now feels like I just need to catch up on normal rest. I mean, that's like amazing. And actually, the more this goes on, because I was always considered like a worrywart as a kid. And so anytime something good would happen, you always wait for the other shoe to drop. But instead of trying to take that, because I feel like that might bring it back unintentionally, that I've just been trying to accept that I'm feeling great, and I'm just so grateful that, I'm just trying to enjoy it and not think about, hey, this could stop at any moment, So I just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm happy that you're not in pain, but I just want to say, don't live in fear of it coming back. Enjoy every bit of it that you have when you're not having pain. Live your life, be the person that you want to be. And
yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm sorry.
I just have a question, and I'm sorry I interrupted, but how did you know about the session, or how did you come to find out about conscious evolution?
My aunt, Indigo Nature, we call her Nana Cat, by the way, like all the kids do, even kids that she randomly meets end up calling her Nana. But my Aunt Cat, who is like she's a phenomenal woman, just wonderful. She's always encouraged us to be more than we are, to realize that it's not all about the stress and the things that are in our everyday life, that sometimes you have to look inside to be able to deal with the outside. So it was her who actually emailed Case, I apologize. I'm like a horrible person right now. I apologize.
No, you're not.
I appreciate that, but I feel bad. But she had emailed Case, and she had told me about this because something had happened after the miscarriage, and apparently I needed some axiotonal adjustments. That was actually, that term had been coming up a little bit more and more over the last year, and I didn't know what that was. But
what is it again?
Axiotonal. Yeah.
No idea.
That's kind of like when you're first starting to be exposed to these frequencies, that's what they call it, an external like activation or adjustment, where you're just basically exposed to these frequencies, or different energy or healing modalities may have different terms of it, but that's how I understand it.
Yeah, and don't feel bad, because I myself, I had absolutely no idea. My aunt had to explain it to me as well.
Well, when I first started seeking this out, and people and energy workers that do this, that's how I learned about it.
Oh wow, yeah.
Cool.
So it was through her that I found out about you guys, and she told me that you guys were able to do a session, and that I basically, wherever I was, I needed to be laying down with my eyes closed, no interruptions, for like a good half hour to an hour. And I gotta tell you, it kind of blew my mind.
What did you experience?
Okay. So when it happened, like, there was like a time where my boyfriend came into the room and he was like, "Babe, you need to lay down like now." And I was like, "Yeah, I have an alarm." He was like, "No, just lay down." So, because it always takes me a little while to just calm and get into the mindset where it feels like I could just relax, especially with the amount of pain I've been in. So I was laying down, and it was interesting because my uncle passed away back in 2011. It was actually Mother's Day of 2011, very significant. But he had been hanging around the last few days. And he actually, it felt like it was him and something else, like basically like when it first started, and it was almost like instantaneous. Like I was trying to get my body to relax because I was just in so much pain, but when it had started, it was like a button had flipped, and it was like slowly but surely, it was like the nerves that were in my arms it was like they were slowing down, like they had been at such a high rate of vibration that they were hurting so bad that it was like everything was starting to calm slowly, like it was seeping. But it was like, it was enough that it was allowing me to relax. And then finally it felt like I was like floating. And then, this is so weird. Okay. So like, it felt like they were preparing me for this, because all of a sudden the Macarena came into my head, and I don't know what this was, but literally it was like in my head, I'm seeing somebody like pull me like a marionette, like making me do the Macarena. And I could feel it in my arms, like my arms were moving, like, and I had like no control over that. It wasn't scary or anything. It was just, oh my God, he's totally messing with me. So, because I didn't know what to expect either. So, but I knew that, it was just them trying to get me to laugh and loosen up, so that way I could receive and do whatever needed to be done, like open myself up so that way you guys could help me. Well, and it felt like that happened like in a split second almost. And then all of a sudden, what ended up happening is like, all of a sudden, all these people, and they weren't just human either. It was like, it was like aliens, like fairies. And I mean, at first I thought, oh my God, is like, do I have a really vivid imagination? What is going, is this just me hoping, but it was like, they were all coming to me with smiles and their arms open, like they were giving me the good nod, like the nod, like, yeah, like, you're okay. Like it felt like just being encompassed by like pure love. And they kept doing this, and then all of a sudden it was like it was like, it went from was, it was so many people and faces coming at me all at once. And, it was just all of them were smiling and happy and, like I said, just like encompassing me in love. And from there it actually went to where it was like I was several different people. Like I was an old Native American, and then I was I don't know, like this woman who the bottom half of her face was like normal human skin tone colors, like for a lighter human, and then the face from up, she had like really big cheeks, but her face from like here up was like white, like she looked half alien. But when I was telling my boyfriend about it, he said, well, it could have been face paint, because I mean, it felt like this was like a long time ago. And the weird part is it felt like she had magic, which was a little bit odd. But I do know that even in the Bible, they say that, magic was once here, but it left because we didn't deserve it anymore. So, I mean, I know that's kind of weird, right? But anyways, so then from there, it went on that all of a sudden I thought that I was, these swirls, like these patterns just were like coming at me and all around me. And it was like, all of a sudden, it was like geometry and like all these mathematical things were just there and around me. And it was so quick that, I mean, I knew, kind of like, it was like you were seeing equations just in midair, and it was crazy, like arcs and angles. And it was like, almost like interdimensional. I don't know. But either way, from there, like, because of the way that the arcs were going, even like sort of like eternity symbols, but like they were these swirls. And it was to the point where all of a sudden they like kind of coalesced and like became like an actual material thing. And I thought that I was actually in a cage to a point. But what it ended up turning out to be was that I was looking through this intricate ironwork in a castle. And so it was almost like it was a past life thing, because at first, like I had come to consciousness inside this person, and it was a man. So I literally, when I was telling my boyfriend this, I was like, how do you feel about that? You're loving a man, baby, and, yeah. It just like little Austin Powers there. But basically it was this really tall built guy, and with like fair hair, but I don't know, but there was something about it that I just inherited a kingdom or something like that, or I don't understand what all that was. But I was just coming to, I was looking outside, and there was this army that was trying to invade, and they were set up like ready to attack the keep. And there was something that like the men around me, they weren't used to me, and they knew that they had to follow me because I was their king, but they thought I was crazy, because like my first reaction wasn't like, let's go out there and let's like Braveheart this, and but it was more like, there's a reason why they're here, there's a reason why they're angry. So, and my ideas apparently were so crazy at that time for more peace than fighting, that and the fact that the king would go out onto the front line as well, we were both, I decided to meet with their leader, but we were both like right on the edge where archers couldn't get us. I just remember saying, well, I'm not a complete idiot, I'm going to go out here to meet that if I end out to die.
So yeah. when you're having all this experience, was that while you were settling in before the session, or was that?
Yes, this was around the time of the session, and okay. This all happened like right before. I mean, there was so much that happened in such a short time, because after all this, and I just remember that I loved we ended up being allies with this kingdom that sent to attack us, by the way. And then from there, and I won the devotion and love of my kingdom, and it prospered. But I was considered a crazy king because of my ideas and the questions. Anyways,
That's
so from there,
interesting.
yeah, right, like, and I totally felt the interesting thing is that it was like being inside this man, like I was this person, but it was also like looking at it from an outside perspective. Like you knew that you were this person, you could experience some of the feelings, but they were kind of muted, like you were at a safe distance from what was actually happening, sort of like you were having your hand held, you know what I mean? And you were shown some of these past things. So I had never had anything happen like this before, by the way, like never. Where I was
That was going to be one of my other questions.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because from there, it went all of a sudden where it was like we were lifted out, like an image was being stretched, and all of a sudden it was just this blankness. But in the blankness, there was this, it was like this energy that it reminded you of like a flowing river without the waves or the trickles, but you could put your hand into it and lift it out and it would fall like water, but it would go back to where it was supposed to be. And from there, it was like, but it was like knowledge. It was like this scheme. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was like we were outside of space and time. It was just crazy. And through this experience, it just felt like all of a sudden, like I was being like gifted, you know, and what ended up happening was I could feel my body. It felt like all the pain, all the hurt that I'd been feeling physically, which does cause emotional duress and distress. But it felt like I could feel it it was like leaving, sort of like not quite seeping, not like it was meant to come back at any moment, but more like it's saying, okay, you served your purpose and now you are unneeded anymore. So I send you forth with love, you know, like you are done. And all of a sudden it was like, then I was unconscious again. But this time it was like whatever had just happened literally made me unconscious. Like I could sleep finally. And I woke up, like I laid down at 11 and I know I didn't fall asleep right away. So somewhere between, I don't know how long this happened because it seemed like everything happened in an instant. And there was so much. Also too, before I forget this, when I was relaxing, right after this space and time thing, all of a sudden it was like being like, there was all this information that was kind of like being uploaded to me. And, like, I have no natural musical ability or anything, but I was still conscious at this point while I was laying in my bed. Like I could feel what was going on with me, even though it was like I was in my head and I was very much there too. But all of a sudden it was like guitars, lutes, harps, any like there were these even weird instruments that I have no name for, but all of a sudden my fingers were moving on their own like I was playing it. And I'm right-handed, but I was doing it with my left. And I could feel like my fingers were moving on their own. And it was mainly the left hand, like I was playing these things. And the flute and singing, that was the other thing that was in the very beginning, which I apologize that I didn't mention this first, but when all these people were like giving me smiles and encouragement and I don't want to say people, I should say peoples, because they weren't all human. There's no way they were all human. They're like, some were like very ethereal. And during this, I felt like I had wings on my back. And during this time, and this all coalesced to the end where I was in that place with I'm just going to call it the scheme with the energy. And yeah, there was this song that started. And at first it was me singing. And I can't hold a tune, you know, like if it were in a bucket and I was kicking it around the front yard, you know, I just, and, but it started with me, and it wasn't something that I did consciously, but I started singing. And then it was like all these other voices joined mine. And it was like, that was what it all was, is that we were all part of this song, that it all interconnected. And even throughout this, you could kind of hear this music in the background. It was so beautiful. And even my voice contributed to it with the tunelessness that I carried, made it beautiful, you know, in its own way. And throughout this whole experience, there was always that in the background. And it was just so amazing, because it felt like I was part of something that was bigger, but we were all connected, even though we sometimes feel like we're not part of anything. And it was like, you may think that you're not part of anything, but you're part of something, whether or not you realize it or not. And that there was so much beauty to be found, but we are always, we're always like in the negative mindset, you know? So a lot of times that's the thing that sticks with us, instead of, you know, taking a look outside and saying, you know, but, you know, maybe making this one small decision, maybe it didn't work for me, but maybe it worked for somebody else and brought somebody else happiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's not always about us. It's, you know, about all of us together. So sometimes you're the one who learns the lesson, and sometimes you're the teacher to, you know, somebody else's, you know, you're the Miyagi to somebody else's Daniel-san, you know what I mean? So, there was just so much that happened in such a short amount of time, and the pain that I was feeling it just dissipated. And it was getting so bad that it was to the point where, like, if I didn't have my daughter or my family, I really would have hurt myself by now.
What kind of pain? Where was your pain? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was all over. I suffer from severe fibromyalgia, and I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like nerves throughout your body. And it was going to such a high extreme of severity that it wasn't just nerve pain anymore. It was like bone deep. And it was the point where, like, a lot of times I couldn't tell my family how bad it was, but it was like constantly screaming in your head all day. And it was the point where I've been basically bedridden for the last month and a half, because I was in so much pain that basically all I could do was go to the bathroom. And even that, you know, was a struggle sometimes, to just walk the few feet to the bathroom. So, I mean, just day 2 so far, and it's still gone. And it's such a relief that I'm just so thankful. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I mean, I also too, I feel like the experience isn't done quite yet, but like I'm not completely finished, but just, and some of it is starting to fade, but as I talk about it, a lot of it comes back. And it was just, the experience may fade, but I will never forget what happened, if that makes sense. At the end of things that I had experienced during that hour, really. Actually, it was really like 2 hours. So, and there is so much more, but I figured that I've probably been talking for quite a while right now.
Well, you're good. Keep going. If you got more. So what did your aunt, I talked to yesterday, and she told me some things that even the other people in the house were experiencing also. Did you experience any of that as well?
Yeah, the sounds. Right when I woke up as well, there was this like crystalline grid that was in the shape of a rectangle, was right by the side of my bed, and it was just chilling there, like it was waiting for me to wake up, and then it flashed out the moment that I realized it was there. There have been things moving around a lot in our house lately. We've all been hearing people talk, like we're shouting now to each other, going, did you see something? And no, none of us said anything. And then we were all laying, me and my boyfriend were laying down, and my daughter comes into our room, which is right next to hers, and she was like, you guys are talking so loud. And I'm like, we're not even talking, because at that point we were just getting ready to go to sleep, so everything was off. It was quiet. We weren't even really talking. We were just cuddling, just trying to, just relax. And she comes in, she's like, God, you guys are so loud. And I thought she was just kidding. She's like 12 years old, and she's like the proverbial teen. My daughter has classic autism, but she has got timing like a comedian, I swear to God. And we were like, no, we weren't talking. And Danny and I had been hearing this all day. Like, it was like bits and pieces of conversation. Or, and it's stuff you can't really make up, but people are talking. And then other things are moving around the house at this point now. Like, my daughter's in her room. Me and Danny are in my bedroom. And then the living room is like literally like 3 rooms away. And we hear stuff all of a sudden just moving. And we were like, not again. And I mean, this goes from like a day where everything is like startling because it's just happening to, oh my God, that's okay. Now this is getting to be pretty regular throughout the day. So, and then the other thing is that there have been flashes of bright light, like continuously. And also too, a lot of things, like when you let your mind kind of wander, you're not as, I don't feel as stressed as I was before as well. Sometimes when Aunt Kat and I have been talking over the past 2 days, and I say things before she even asks the question, or when she's asking the question, seeing if I know the answer, because this had been continuously doing it, and she thought, well, maybe it's just because we know each other, but she asked me questions about stuff I should have no knowledge of, and from time to time the answer just comes to me, or I see something and I'm telling her what I'm seeing, and she's like, well, yeah, that makes sense because, and then she'll tell me what she meant by the question. So I mean, it's things like that that are just pretty, now that it's not crazy, it's just pretty like mind-boggling, really, like I'm stymied, so I mean, there are things like that, and then there's this music, and it's from time to time. It's not all the time, but sometimes it's not the same thing I experienced when you guys were doing your thing, but it's like it makes you stop and listen for just a moment, and it's like in that moment you are here, if you know what I mean. And sometimes you really need to be there in that moment because something is happening, like whether or not it's all of a sudden you get a phone call and you need to pick up that phone, or something happens in front of you, like you experience, like sometimes somebody else's happiness, just seeing that there are other things around you. And the fact that I can freaking walk, hello, I'm here. I live in Waukesha, so thank you. And I'm driving. Hello, watch out. Sidewalks. Thing.
That's awesome.
So, no, I'm totally kidding. I'm really not that bad. But yeah, so I mean, I'm here and I haven't been here. Like normally I'm with my aunt like almost all the time. And I've basically been at home for like 2 months now and bedridden for like a month and a half. So this is just, and if I was out of the house, I was like I was crying, like physically crying, not even emotionally. You like at that point, your emotions are just done. You're just physically crying. You can't even stop it. So the fact is that just, I am just so thankful and grateful. So thank you so much. You guys really have impacted not just me, but my family, because I know that it tore them up because they couldn't do anything and they knew that I was hurting. And normally I'm the one that goes to everybody else when they're in like pain and stuff, and I'm the one who usually comforts. So for them not to be able to do that for me, I know that it tore them up. So I just want to say thank you. Like, it's like I said, day 2, and I don't even feel it. And I'm just staying in this moment because I just feel like that's where I need to be. And I just wanted to say thank you. So if there's any way I can help anybody, I would love to. So I just wanted to say thank you again.
You're very, very welcome, Nikki.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm still like mind blown, you know, like I can't even comprehend everything that you just said, but it's similar reactions to, you know, people who experience these energies. And this is what it's all about. Like, you know, allowing yourself to experience this on your own, and you never know what's going to come out. And these are healing energies, like I said before, and this is your energy healing yourself. You know, we just opened the door for you, and you went in through the door.
Exactly.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, I was like, you have my permission, because I remember all of a sudden I was like, how I started out was trying to calm, was like just saying prayer, just saying, you know, just I hope that I'm better and that I can help if this helps. And then all of a sudden, like halfway through the prayer, I'm like, oh, by the way, you have my permission. I don't know why I needed to say that, but like I'm like, yeah, you have it. Just do it. Let's do this. But
well, thank you for allowing us to be part of this.
Yeah, and the last thing I just wanted to say, like with the continuous talking, is that it was literally like being, it was like being encompassed by love, like just this pure love. And it felt like in that moment, it was reflected back from like me to them and back to me again, you know what I mean? Or like from them to me and then back at them, you know, like there were two sides to that, maybe even 3 or 4, I don't know, but it was of all sides. And it was this amazing experience and feeling. Just, yeah, I guess we gotta experience it to believe it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I say it a lot, especially in the sense after the reconnective healing training weekend. That's how I feel almost always. You know, I'll slip out of it a little bit, but I come right back, and it's just like I'm fully surrounded by just love, and I feel like it's generated from within, which it is, and it's like a love bubble, you know. It's like
yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it, and you know, that's what it's all about. And you did heal yourself. You stepped into your own mastery this weekend, so continue to explore that if you want to, you know, mess around with it. You know, it sounds like the door's been open and you walked and you fucking ran through it, so just keep going with it, you know, see where it takes you. There's like the reality of what is here is way stranger than what you've been led to believe, or what you've been told for most of your life. Maybe not you, because your aunt's kind of awesome and is aware of a lot of these things, but you know, it's all in love. You know, everything I've experienced with anything from, you know, beyond the veil, so to speak, is all been in good, fun love. You know, it's just, I love it. I absolutely love it. There's nothing to fear is what I'm trying to say. And yeah. Hey, do you feel anything in your hands now?
Well, over the last couple of days, my hands and my feet have been just like, there are times where they're on fire. Mm-hmm. So, and before this a little bit, because of some of the things that my aunt had led me to, and it only was for like a short span, like I could, heal with energy, but because I never learned to protect myself, that I would end up taking the energy into myself, that negativity, you know, or whatever that sickness was, that I would take it from that person. And it was just minor things. There was only ever one time that I did do a massive heal, and it was because my friend was dying. And this is the last time I attempted that, but they were actually taking her off of life support. And and because of, I knew that it wasn't right. And it was like I was hearing her in the hospital room saying, this isn't right, this isn't right. And I knew she didn't want to go. And she had a little girl. And I ended up, I don't know how it happened, but I knew that I had to put my hands over her heart. And I found out later that she'd had a fungus or a bacteria growing in her heart. I can't remember which one it was, but there was some sort of growth in her heart that was preventing her from healing, and it was killing her. So, and it like affected her lungs. It was backing up into her lungs. Well, after that, I ended up with atelectasis, which is a partially collapsed lung, and then double pneumonia in each lung, which I found out later on she had pneumonia from this incident. But that was the last time I attempted to do that because I never learned how to shield myself in that.
I would hold on. Excuse me. I would explore that again, because as far as things like protection and taking on other people's issues or sicknesses or diseases, I think that's something that's very much of an old energy.
Okay.
And I think there's a whole new paradigm today and every day moving forward where it's, I mean, I just know it. I don't know why, I don't know how, I just know it. And so explore that, and don't approach it with the fear of taking that on. You know what I mean? Just
and
just have fun. This is all a game. This is all fun. You're living in love now. You know what I mean? Like just spread the love, and that's healing in itself.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I have a suggestion, and it's up to you to follow it, but consider looking into this reconnective healing, way of doing things, because this is what you did for yourself. And that's how I became aware of this, because I healed myself through this. And it's just the best way to share it with, those who are open to it and willing, because you have it in you. And you have this magical power inside of you now that you are allowing yourself to experience. And now you're just going to have to fine tune it. And maybe your new instrument, it takes a while, but there's training that you can do. Start reading the books, maybe,
Do you have any suggestions on where to start with that? Like where I should look? Or
I mean, order the books on Amazon. There's 2 that we started with, the Dr. Pearl Solomon Speaks. And then the other one is, what is the name of the title? Heal Yourself. Yeah, the Reconnection. Heal Yourself.
Heal others, heal yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, that's how we started. And I think that you also have the power to do, a lot more.
Thank you. The interesting thing, like while we're talking about this, is that woman with the white, like part of her face, she keeps like coming to the forefront of my mind right now, which is pretty interesting. So like it felt like she had magic.
Well, I think you're a healer yourself, and just maybe the opportunity that you've been waiting for.
Thank you. And I just think you have no idea how just deeply grateful I am to both of you and my aunt and everything that happened to the point where we are meeting and talking, and just the healing and even the suggestions, the knowledge, the tutelage, basically, because I can't think of the other word right now. But I'm just so really grateful and just love like you guys so much.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the love, and continue to do our group sessions, because I think we're gonna keep doing this. And we're in the middle of structuring it with how to set it up and everything. So join if you like, and we'll be blessed to have you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us and sharing your story. I really enjoyed hearing that. I'm touched that you had such an experience. I love hearing all the comments and everything that people experience during these sessions. It really does open you up to what a whole nother world, and it's fascinating, and I love it. And I just love it. And we love you. And thank you for participating in our experiment again. And thank you, Kat. I know you can hear me. It was very nice talking to you yesterday. And we love you.
She just wants to give you all a big hug right now as well.
Maybe we can go on camera when you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
All
we
right.
can off camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let
I
me,
think she's willing to do that.
all right, guys. Well, that's the show today. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and you know, be the change that you want to see in this world, and just love yourself and step into your own mastery. You are a master. Love you.